Okay, welcome to computer graphics. You're going to be learning a lot in a short period of time because you guys have missed first quarter, which is a time period when we set the foundations for learning Illustrator. So please feel welcome to take notes. You can stop me at any time, and you can also rewind if you didn't understand something. Okay, let's begin. So in Illustrator, you would go to File, New. You will get your new document window. You will put your name. I'll put mine, Tiffany Line Designs. Here you can put the number of artboards, and we will be working with 4 artboards. So you would change the number to 4. And this also is where you organize your artboards. And since we'll be going from left to right and back and forth, we'll keep it here at grid by row. The spacing is not necessarily important, but you can change it, and neither is the columns at this moment. Right now, if you see, it's at letter size. Letter size is 8.5 by 11. And you can also choose whether or not the orientation is portrait or landscape. And the things that I'm going over are specific towards test questions. So knowing the size of a letter size document, which is 8.5 by 11, knowing the units that we always work in, inches, and then the orientation of the artboards, our portrait, and landscape. We're going to customize our artboards to 5 by 5, and then we press OK. And this is what you're going to see when you open up your artboards. Alright, since you're working with the artboards, if you notice you have icons on the side of the window. But we're going to go to Window, and we're going to go to Layers. So you want to open up your layers. Now if I decide to work with something else, like artboards, notice that these are existing on the same panel. And sometimes it's different depending on the person who's working on the computer. So what we do in order to keep these open, now if we go to something else, you notice that it disappears. So in order to avoid that, we undock the window. So click on the word layers, click, hold, drag. Same thing with artboard, click, hold, drag. This is called undocking, and these become floating panels. Okay, so the first thing you guys are going to be using is the Align Segment tool. And I'll click back on a finished document. Your finished document looks like this. And we're going to begin with this particular set of lines, and then we'll go to this set, and then this set. Okay, so in order to just zoom in on just this particular artboard, you would hit the Command and the 0 key together, and it focuses on that particular artboard. You'll be using the Line Segment tool, among some other things within your Illustrator menu. So with the Line Segment tool, you simply click, hold, and drag down. As you begin to drag down, you notice you can move left to right. So you want to hold down your Shift key as you go down, and notice that it's straight. And you just drag until you get to the end of the artboard. And you let go of your mouse, and you let go of the key. And it's a straight line. Your Shift key on your keyboard constrains the proportions so that it becomes straight. Even when you resize objects, it constrains the proportion so that it gets smaller or bigger while keeping the same dimensions. Okay, so now that we have one line, you learn how to copy and paste. Copy and paste, you simply go to Edit, Copy, and Edit, Paste. And if you notice, the line goes all the way to the right. And so we also use another process called cloning, and to control where your actual copy lands. So I'll delete this line. Now, the shortcut to copy and paste, because we learned shortcut keys as well, is Command C on your keyboard for copy, Command V on your keyboard for paste. So you can do either of those. I'll press delete. Now let's go into the cloning. If you select your object, you notice, and your cursor is one of the things that will give you indication of what's taking place. If you notice right now, your cursor exists with an arrow with a long tail. When you drag your cursor across an object, you notice that the tail disappears. If you hold down your Option key on your keyboard, you'll notice that another arrow appears. So the double arrow indicates that you're getting ready to clone an object. So while holding the Option key, I click, I hold, and I drag. And now Option key is still held. I'm going to hold down my Shift key so that it stays straight. And then I let go of the mouse. And you notice that it moved a little bit, and that's fine. You let go, you still have your clone. So that gives me the option of moving the object. And when you're moving anything, you want to make sure that you are using the selection tool and not the direct selection tool. And if you notice the difference, the selection tool has a dark arrow, and the direct selection tool has a white arrow. So I'll click on the object and I simply move it up. You can also use your arrow keys on your keyboard to nudge objects left and right, and up and down. Now to show you how to use the direct selection tool, I'm just going to draw a line that's not going to be the correct length. I'll stop right there. So you can actually use your direct selection tool to click on specific anchor points. So right now, if you notice, I'll zoom in a little bit. If you notice right now, this direct selection tool is white and it has no icon. If you drag your cursor across the anchor point, you'll notice that you see a little box indicating that it's hovering over an anchor. So I click on the anchor to make it active, and then I click, hold, and drag down. And notice I'm moving around, so I'll hold down my Shift key to make it straight. And then I let go of the mouse, and then let go of the key. I'll zoom out. And we have this. Now we want 4 lines, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy it, and I'm going to clone to give me my next line and hold down my Shift key. Okay, so let's look to see how many sets of lines that we need. Alright, if we look, let's get close. You notice we have 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want to make sure each one of our groups of lines have 5 lines. So let me draw or clone another line. Holding my Shift key. And here we go. We have our 5 lines. Now we want to have the same space between each line. So we're going to use something called distribute. So we're going to marquee. Marquee just simply means selecting more than one object or dragging your cursor across the objects to select them. So we want these 5 lines so they're all selected. If you look in your control panel changes depending on what tool you have selected. So right now I have my selection tool selected, and I have some paths selected. And if you notice, this says path. So we'll come over here and you'll see some icons for your aligning. Some of you may see the word align. If you see the word align, you click on it and you still see these particular icons. Now if we look here where it says align to selection, sometimes when you go to align, it may be aligned to the artboard or to a key object. Right now we want to align to selection, so it aligns everything that's selected together. Artboards, of course, it aligns to the artboard, and I'll show you the difference. Right now, align to selection, and I want to distribute it so that the horizontal spacing is the same, well, the vertical spacing, sorry, is the same. So I click, you notice a couple of the lines move so you can have the equal space. Now, if you had the Align to Artboard selected and I click the distribute, it's going to distribute those lines across the artboard. If you notice, I have 1 line, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'll select those back or marquee, go to Align selection, and then I'll distribute. And if you notice, it's staying the same, and it's staying the same because they were not together. So I'm going to edit undo, and sometimes when you run into issues that you can't figure out, just edit undo and go back to where you started. Alright, so now that these are distributed evenly, I want to copy and paste or clone them so that I have how many sets? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 5 sets of lines, or 5 groups of lines. So at this particular moment, to keep you from getting confused, you can select all of your lines, go to Object, and group them. So now when I select on one line, the other lines are selected. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll move this in just a little bit, and I'm going to clone 4 times. 1, I'm holding my shift key as I move them over. So what I do is I drag my cursor across, I see my arrow, I hold down my option key, I start to drag, and then I hold down my shift key. Let go of the mouse, let go of the keys. Again, option, click, drag, hold down the shift key. Option, click, drag, hold down the shift key. So I have 5 sets of lines, but if you notice that I still have all this space over here. So what we can do at this particular moment, we can, let's just align to where it says key. I'm going to go ahead and move this one over just a little bit. Aligning to key object. Right now that's the key object, and you'll notice what's going to happen. And if you do that, what it's doing is it's taking all of those and then aligning it directly with that. Not a good choice. So let's do the artboard. Artboard and line. There we go. And I do want to slide these in just a little bit, but that's okay for now. Okay, and I can even come in here and distribute the, put that back up there, sorry. There we go. Alright, I'll put that back up there, and I'm going to distribute these 3s. There we go. Alright, so we have this. Our next thing is to copy and paste or rotate, or whichever is easy. And so, and this varies depending on what we're doing. So the easy thing for us to do at the moment is to copy and paste and to rotate. Let's see. So right now I have these 5 lines. Look like I should have 6, but we'll move forward with that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 5 across. Alright, but we'll keep it at 4 right now. Alright, I'll marquee all of my lines, and then I will go to Object. Instead of copying and pasting and rotating, there are shortcuts. That's the beauty of applications. Go to Transform. Right now I want to rotate. So I want to rotate a second copy of these lines, not these particular lines, at a 90-degree angle. You can preview so you can see it. It's showing you how the lines are going to look. And I press copy. And there you go. You have your lines. And you're pretty much done with this particular design. You can add more lines because I think on mine I have 6 and 5. And on this one it's just 4 and 4. And then what it does is pretty much get rid of, eliminates so much space in between. But that's the basics of this particular design. Okay? And so now you've learned how to select particular or specific anchor points, and you use the line segment tool. You know how to dock and undock windows, and you know how to transform an object. You know how to go to file, go to edit, copy and paste. You know the shortcuts to copy and paste. Copy, Command C, paste, Command V, and you know how to clone objects. And that's it for your first design. I'll come back and explain layers.